there's and it's a must-read article, and you might have to subscribe to a newsletter or something, but there was a great deep dive into what went wrong and what is still, I think, going wrong with Spokane. Sadly, the Zephyr ceased operations. They missed out on the postseason by goal difference. And so then they announced the following Monday that they were ceasing operations. And this seems to be just like the end of a lot of issues on the women's side that are still going on with Spokane as an ownership group. Am I off?
Yeah. So for people who maybe haven't kept up, Spokane Zephyr are shutting doors, and they're saying for this season, kinda, they're not using the word ceasing operate, or like they use the word ceasing operations, but they're being vague about it. This comes on Monday, and we start getting the loose news about this, and have to find his name again because I want to give him credit. It was CJ Qureshi.
Yeah,
kind of first started breaking the news over on Blue Sky, and for people who have been kind of in the space, this isn't exactly shocking. Because last year we kind of heard the conversation happening after their first season. There was just kind of loose conversations like, hey, the Zephyr may not come back, which makes sense when we talk about just how far away they are from everybody else. And we talked about this on the USL show last week. And we talked about how hard it is to be a Pacific Northwest team. I mean, look at the Seattle Mariners. It is brutal, the schedule they have to go. Look at soccer up in MLS. If it wasn't for Vancouver Whitecaps, which is a whole other conversation, all Seattle would have is Portland. Other than that, they are completely alone. Now you're looking at the Super League where it's just the Zephyr. And do you say, hey, hold out for AC Boise? They're coming in a year, maybe a two. Even with a real deal team like you have in League One with AC Boise, do you trust USL timelines when we say we swear we started this year? I never do. So this is something that I think a lot of people in the space have been kind of prepared for. But when you start getting the USLPA announcements like they do, where hey, the ownership walks in on Monday after they were eliminated from the playoffs via goal differential, like you mentioned, and they have a 3-minute meeting where they're basically just like, well, Spokane's not a D1 league or a D1 city, and the financials aren't right. See ya. And they go and have a catered breakfast with the men's team. It doesn't feel good. At all.
Article that I have linked below our conversation is your requested required reading. Thomas Klaus and Megan Howard from the Spokesman Review up in Spokane. Owners indicated in a locker room meeting at 9:00 on Monday after the season was over, they read from a piece of paper, Ryan and Katie Harnicho, and announced that at the end of the Zephyr Women's Soccer Club. Then they caught up with some players. Owners indicated that Spokane could not support a top-level professional women's team, suggested they might try later with a lower-level squad. And then further down in the article, lagged in attendance this season while the owners, which included Spokane developer Jordan Tampion, continually missed financial deadlines that have prompted Spokane Public Facilities District to consider ending its 10-year contract with them. What remains unspoken is the future of Velocity, who are at 5-1-2 and off to a good start in League One, third place in the standings. No additional comments were made at the time. And then they consulted with Bobby Brett, who owns the Spokane Indians, about how you're trying to make a living in all of this. And One Spokane Stadium does not have the same number of advertisements Britt mentioned as those hung in the other stadia where the minor league Chiefs play, the hockey team, and the baseball team where they play. And Zephyr averaged about 2,000 ticket sales per match inaugural season. They also gave away about 500. 2,500 tickets sold or given out, an average of 1,550 attended matches that year. So Zephyr averaged 993 fans at their matches, despite selling an average of 1,200 tickets. Team giving away another 374. Stadium seats about 5,000. So stadium opens in September 23. $39 million outdoor stadium built by Spokane Public Schools, as you know, a joint thing where we see in cities where high school can use, and it's used for other folks. And the CEO of the private finance district said they agreed to pay $4 million in upgrades to locker rooms and other amenities required to host 2 professional soccer teams. In return, the company formed by the Harnichos and Tampion, Aquis Sports, agreed to reimburse into payments. One of those was due last March, and another $2 million is due in November 27. Aquis missed the deadline last year, and then in the summer, PFD Board of Directors set to vote to end the contract, and then all of a sudden they come up with the money. As of late last week, Aquis had not paid a bill of $87,000 that was due on April 1st. So you have owners that owe $87,000, and then they negotiated payments of $370,000, and that's why with all of this money that is being talked about, that's why I have the link down here for the main article. So it just seems, and I think the first thing to talk about is legitimately, as you said, it is Spokane in the Super League. It is Spokane, and the next closest team is Dallas.
Yeah.
Spokane, Dallas. That's not close.
Nope. Yeah, and I think as it mentions in there, the Spokane velocity side of this. And this is not me trying to overlook what's happening with the Zephyr. However, what's happened with the Zephyr has happened, right?
Yeah, right.
And I think a lot of people's next logical thing as well is the velocity screwed, in which I would say that there are a lot of things that were going against the Zephyr. The closest team being Dallas. Now in League One, you have more West Coast teams. You have allegedly Eugene on the way. They say that they're on the way, kinda. You also have AC Boise, which is really close by, relatively speaking, anyway.
Yeah.
So, on addition to that, in the U.S., just men's soccer gets more fans in the stands than women's soccer. Is it fair? No. If you actually watch the Zephyr play, I think they play more attractive football than the Velocity, but a lot of people aren't willing to give it a chance for whatever reason. So when you put all those factors together, the Velocity have a better foothold there that can keep them sustainable for another year, another 2 years.
Right.
Now, when you mention all the other money aspects of this is not me trying to minimize, but because not many teams are missing deadlines like this. However, it's not the most equitable thing to do is be a lower league soccer team.
Right. Yeah.
So the velocity side of this feels a lot more safe to me.
Yeah.
For the Zephyr, the thing with the players, and the USLPA has done a great job of advocating for their players, and you're about to see a lot of really good players hit the market. There's not a lot of new teams coming in, which does lead to a question of the professional soccer standards, which are always concrete and never move for anybody, right? But they're supposed to have a certain amount of teams by year 4. They're supposed to have a certain amount of teams within 3 different time zones. AC Boise would fulfill that, but would they have enough teams now? I don't think so.
Yeah.
So there's a conversation of D1 status. And it really sucks that we're having this conversation when this upcoming Saturday, we're having the final, which is going to be against the 2 best teams this year. And I know a lot of people say, well, look at Sporting Jacks, but I beg you to watch the Carolina Ascent, especially what they've done in the second half in the spring split.
Right.
If this is a really good matchup that should be celebrated, that should be talked about, that should have been the headlining conversation. But once again, the USL has another team folding that steals every single headline when there's good stuff going on. Just like last year with hey, let's talk about the USL final. Oh, also,
And,
by the way, don't forget the USL PA and USL CBA is running up.
yes. And so I do want to talk about the final because I know that is why that you're pardon the pun, sporting the Lexington jersey. And this is just me being naive. And so with the time that you and everyone there at the USL show get to cover things, you saw the wording by the PA about, taking care of players and such. Where is the Gainbridge Super League players, when it comes to the women's side of USL activity, where do they fall into the USLPA? Are they rolled into the USLPA as a group? Are they a separate thing? Because you see the wording from the USLPA, but then it's like I'm trying to figure out where the USLPA is when it comes to the Super League players and the relationship that the women's side has with the PA. Is it two separate things? Is it rolled in underneath? What's the relationship?
So the US, by my understanding,
Okay.
now this is where legalese is not my thing. I'm a band director, not a lawyer. So my understanding is that the USL PA and the USL Super League have a partnership. They work together.
Right.
However, there is no CBA for the Super League.
Okay.
There is no binding agreement between League, Players Association, and et cetera, et cetera.
Okay.
So it's not like the championship in League One where they're having to deal with CBA stuff.
Yeah.
So they don't have that kind of agreement. However, they are a part of the PA, but they don't have the same legal protections from the PA.
Yeah, and that was my question because it seemed like the PA was supporting the Super League players, but it was just verbal, if that makes any sense. That was the presentation that I got. The impression I got from the presentation from the USLPA, it's like we're with you, even though and you're somewhat confirming my thought, is that they're not rolled over underneath the USLPA. That was my main question.
Correct.
So with this, now you've got a championship game, and Lexington and Carolina Ascent, and we are efforting input from both of those clubs because, as you said, it is a championship game that we do have to get to talk about. So this weekend in Lexington, are you going, by the way?
No, just because I have to lead church music the very next day. And so because the game ended up being at 7 p.m. Eastern, there was no way I can make it back. I'm super bummed out. I'm so bummed out because I was really excited to see it in person, but there's just no way I could change the schedule, obviously.
So then for those of us who are going to be like you and watching from afar, what have the seasons been like for Ascent and for Lexington to get to the last game of the year in the Super League?
Lexington, as they do, horse money don't quit. They went and bought every good player ever. And so that's kind of what they did, but it wasn't without issues. They had little bumps in the road. They had moments where things kind of didn't look solid at times, especially after they had their coaching changes.
Right.
When they had Hemi move on to the men's side,
right,
they had a little stumble. When then they had Kasuke Kimura, he took over even though he was the assistant coach, they had a little bit of a wobble. And by wobble, I mean they were just drawing games and not winning them, you know, that stuff.
Yes.
And then you looked at the other side where they had Sporting Jags, who are really still in headlines because they could not stop scoring goals. But I don't want to call them a paper tiger, if that makes sense, because they were a really, really good team. But they were really beating up on bad teams. They had not beaten a playoff team, which is a little nitpicky because there's only 4 teams that make the playoffs, but they had not been a playoff team, I think, since February.
Wow.
And so they had really eaten up on the minnows of the league. And when they started playing these better teams, they weren't picking up results. Then you look at the Carolina Sim, and it's really easy for me to say Tyler Lucy's really good at soccer. That's like the really easy way to go about this. But there was a real change in how this team was playing after her inclusion. You had Mackenzie George up top, who Mackenzie George is a world-class winger who's being asked to play as a striker. And at first it wasn't working. Then you got Tyler Lucy coming in, playing both wings. Riley Mattingly Parker finally really etching away for her into this team, locking down the other wing, whichever side they want to have them on. Most recently, it's been left wing Lucy, right wing Riley. So that just works. But it's allowed to play a little bit more free, and it's allowed other players to, like Aguilera, to be a little bit more of that deeper lying passer who can make things happen. On top of that, their defense has been awesome. They also brought in from Brooklyn, who the people of Georgia know real well, Sydney Martinez comes in. She has been lights out superstar. She's been amazing. If you watch her with Tormenta, you already knew that. So this has been a team that since the spring split started, it has been the second best team in the league. Arguably the best team in the league. I think if you really watch these matches, it's not as flashy as what you're getting from Lexington, but it's just as effective. So these are 2 of the best teams going at it. These are 2 teams that are really making well with their defense. They are solid defensively. They are going to score goals. Lexington more goals than Carolina, but Carolina doesn't have to rely on their back line or rely on their attack as much as. So like they are solid, they are rock solid, and they're one of the few teams that have really given Lexington trouble this year. They have gone 1-1-1 with Lexington this year, every single match being a 1-goal affair, if not a draw outright. This is a really good matchup. And if I'm Lexington, I'm really bummed out that I'm not playing Sporting Jacks, because Sporting Jacks is going to try to make it a track meet. They have a fantastic team, but they are going to try to make it a track meet, which plays right into Lexington's hands. When you have Addie McCain, who's going to sit a little bit deeper, and you have Mackenzie Weiner, who's going to be putting in crosses like crazy, looking for Catherine Berry, where she can finish with her head, she can finish with her feet, she can do whatever you want her to. When you're in a track meet and you can counterattack, that's what you want to do to beat Sporting Jacks. Carolina, they got their goal early, and they just sat back and defended. There was no counterattacking going on, which I think plays right into Carolina's favor if they can do the same thing against Lexington. It's a tall task, but you absolutely can.
What's your gut tell you?
I really don't know. Usually I have a lean. Last year, I was pretty certain it was going to be the Sun after the Ascent got eliminated. When you're looking at a team that has not lost, or they have not dropped any points in the last, I think it's 7 matches, Carolina, they're as hot as you can be. They're defensively solid. They can score a goal. However, the firepower from Lexington is no joke. This one, I really have no lean. I really don't. Something is telling me I think my gut is slightly telling me Carolina, but this is also a Lexington team that could come out and win this match 3-0. And it's like, well, yeah, do you see who they have on the team? Do you see how well they're coached? Like, obviously. But my gut is telling me slightly Carolina, but I don't love it.
I figured I would ask, and I figured it was going to be one of those. I think honestly, it's going to be longer than 90 minutes.
I do too. I think that's the only thing I can really feel confident about. conversation like we had last year with Pittsburgh and Tulsa, where I was like, basically like, it's going to go to penalties. And at that point, take your pick. Like, do you really think you know how penalty shootouts go? This one kind of has that same feeling for me.
There's a matchup this weekend in USL Championship that under normal circumstances is like massive marquee. Oh my God, can't miss it under no circumstance. It's appointment television viewing or appointment device viewing.
Yep.
And this year, both teams have played 10 matches. One of them is unbeaten, and it's not Lou City.
I think I said preseason that Tampa Bay might be the best team in the league. I think when we talked preseason or right after preseason, I was like, this Tampa Bay team is no joke. Like there is not a single weak link on this team. If anything, it's the right back side, and you're looking at Akoff, who's one of the best right backs in the league, and that's the quote unquote weak link because that's just not fair. There's not enough good things you can say about this Dom Casciato led side. There is just no holes. There's nothing. They are well coached, well trained, talent on top. Then you look at Lou City, and I think that they're still third. They're still in third place. Okay, let's not act like it is the world's falling. However, to Lou City fans, it is. Yeah. But the world's not. It is okay. This is not a bad Miami team. Okay. Now I understand they have 2 games more than everybody else, but they're still sitting, fourth? They are a good team with good talent on the squad. I know everybody saw how Jurgen Locadia worked out at FC Cincinnati, but also, did you watch those FC Cincinnati teams? That's not fair on him. That's not fair to compare him to. This is still a good player. This is still a good team. They have really, really good players. It feels like a match where Lou City is still going to show up. They did it against Union Omaha. They ended up getting a 5-1 win over Union Omaha. I would say, well, you should watch Union Omaha. Watch them. They're not your average League One team. Also, League One teams have been taking it to championship teams this year in the Prinks Cup. Again, never seen a Prinks tire, but it's fine. Yeah. But they have been taking it to championship teams. Lou City dispatched them 5-1. Granted, red card in there, but I still think they were up 3-1 despite that. This is a team that I feel like is still going to get up for this match. They're still going to have good vibes going in. They're going to trust what they do. They're going to trust Kyle Adams and not have an own goal. They're going to trust Hugo Faru to make a couple of saves like he can. And they scored goals. They got 3 goals. They know they can score. It's just, how is the defending going to be this year? Usually in years past, Lou City has been just so strong defensively that all they had to do was hold out for a 1-0 win that eventually becomes 2-3-0 because other teams start going for points. This year, they can't rely on the defense in the same way. How do you fix it? I don't know. I'm not a coach, but it's just going to be one of those situations where I still think it's in there, and I still think this is a marquee matchup that you should watch because I don't see Tampa Bay taking them to the sword like the Miami FC did.
Strange thing is Lou City's lost 3 in a row.
Yes, they have.
And you mentioned the loss to the Miami FC, which was the 4-3 thriller. And then before that, they lose to Pittsburgh 2-0. And then you lose, as I said here, and it's like not agreeing with me. Detroit City beats them 2-1. So
in between that is a 5-1 win against Union Omaha. Yeah. So I do think that bears noting.
Yes. So I'm gonna show you the juice boxes
yep.
in this matchup, and it's going to go Lou City, draw, Tampa. I'm going to show you these numbers. That's the numbers right now in the juice boxes for this match.
Okay.
Lou City is favored at a -116. Tampa Bay is a +260 underdog in this match.
So when it comes to juice box odds,
Uh-huh.
Home field advantage is weighted really heavily when it comes to USL Championship juice
Yeah.
box odds.
Yeah.
Um, I think that
Uh,
Land Family Stadium has enough pull. I think that they can pull a good crowd in this. They know it's Tampa Bay. People know that. I think that's a good enough home field advantage.
okay.
I would lean draw here.
Yeah.
A draw here. I don't think that Lou City is going to win this game. I
Mhm.
wouldn't shock me if they did.
Yeah.
But also with the crowd that is expected to be there, assuming it's not still raining because it can't stop reason.
Yeah, really?
It's I would say that a draw is your most likely outcome here.
Yeah. I saw those plus 260 and plus 240, and I'm like, I'm jumping on that ish like yesterday.
Yes.
I'm absolutely jumping on that. Uh, Kaylor Hodges at the USL show, and looking at the rest of the numbers in the conference standings, it's Charleston 4-4-1, 13 points. They're a part of that gaggle that's down there at 6, 7, and 8. I figure that they're going to get the engine's going to turn over, and literally you're only 4 points out of second place right now anyway.
Yeah.
So that's early on. Rhode Island is Rhode Island's right there on the edge. What's going on with your Birmingham Legion?
What can I say that won't get my media pass revoked? They put up one of the most pathetic performances I've seen in a long time.
Wow.
I'm sure they know that, and that's not me saying anything bad, but I mean, I say bad. I mean, you lose 2-0 to one of the worst teams in the league in Monterey Bay. Granted, Monterey Bay looked much, much, much better. They have really turned a corner ever since their new coaching hire. I know they blew a 3-1 lead to AC Boise. First off, AC Boise is really good. Mm-hmm. Also, if you watch that match, they had no confidence. As soon as the second goal went in, you could tell the world was imploding on Monterey Bay. Mm-hmm. They get home and they really take it to Legion. This is a Legion team that leads the league in passing percentage. They want to possess the ball. They are not necessarily possess the ball. They're more of a counterattacking team, but they are okay with passing it. They're okay with just kind of really taking their high percentage passes and making a big deal of it. Yeah. The issue is they're a team that wants to build out of the back that can't work through a press. They were getting pressed up the pitch and they couldn't work through it, which is not ideal if you're a team that wants to work through the press. That's just not a good recipe. I think a lot of that comes down to Samuel Shoshua's getting healthy. He's been out for a while. Sam Mickelhatton's been out for a couple matches. Kadeem Cole just doesn't really seem to have that bit about him to work through a defense. Seth Antwi can. He's a good player. I think he's arguably the best player on the team right now, but he just doesn't do anything that looks sexy, basically. He can do that, but also he needs to be more defensive side of the pivot. Yeah. The defensive midfield is just not doing their job right now. The right back side has been not good. I think Leo Duru needs to start. I think that'll fix a lot of problems over there. I think there are reinforcements on the way, and I do think that Legion fans should stay the course, but it's hard for them to trust that when you get one of the worst performances I've seen in a long time, and I watched last year's Legion team.
Yeah. How difficult is it to stay the course and be patient in Jacksonville, where you mentioned how things are on the Super League side? You're out of the blocks. You haven't won any in your first 9, and you've only got the 1 point.
I don't know. Go watch the Armada.
Wow.
It's bad.
Okay.
It's really bad. There are good players on this team. Mm-hmm. There are good pieces. This is kind of like the Miami conversations we would have, the Monterey Bay conversations we would have. There are good players, but there's not enough good players to make up for it. Right. This is a team that has clearly lost a lot of confidence. Every single match you watch, it feels like they are on the brink of getting a red card because they're just so freaking frustrated, and they're putting in stupid challenges. They're giving away cheap possession. The games where they are in it and they are really being competitive, they have one stupid moment that leads to a goal, and they never get their head back. This just feels like they need to get one win and maybe they'll be okay. But I don't know where that win's coming from at this point. I think you're going to have a moment like a Legion versus Monterey Bay where a team has their worst match of the year, maybe several years, and you come out and play with your hair on fire, and maybe that gives them the confidence. But I really don't know. I don't know what the next step is because you can't reinvest everything into a new squad already. They're, like I said, they're good players. What do you do? I don't know.
You look at League One, and it seems like there's three groups. You've got, obviously, the folks at the top, Union Omaha, Velocity, One Knox, Naples. I mean, if you want to include Naples in that group. But I think you can sit there and go Union Omaha, Velocity, and One Knox. That's your lead group. Then the Peloton starts. Naples, Fort Wayne out of the blocks. I love that Fort Wayne is as competitive as they are out of the block. Fifth right now, 4 wins in their first 9. Charlotte's caught fire recently after they shook off Open Cup. Boise, you mentioned what Boise's been doing. They've kind of they kind of tripped lately. Alta right now would be in the last playoff spot. You got P-Hop, Richmond, Ford Madison, and then you've got that group number 3 with everybody at 7 points. Everybody's got 2 wins regardless of no matter how many matches they played. And there are some of the newer faces there, Sarasota and the Cosmos, don't get me wrong, but you've got 6 teams basically within 2 points of each other, and Amon Zayed still looking for his first win down there in Corpus Christi.
Man, the draw that they got against One Knox was just heartbreaking. I mean, you parry an Olympico into your top corner to draw a game in the 90-something minute. I mean, that one was just heartbreaking. If I'm looking at this, I would not put Naples up there right now. I know just last time I came on, I was like, I was wrong about Naples. Maybe I was right about Naples. Okay. It's really just kind of unraveled. They get a win against a 1-0 win against Westchester, which this is a much better Westchester team than last year, but the bar was through the center of the earth.
Yeah.
It can't get much worse than what it was.
Right.
I still don't trust Naples. Fort Wayne, I would put in that top 4. I know that's not where they are right now, but I would definitely put Fort Wayne there, especially ever since the new stadium is open. They've really turned it around. AC Boise, they take a loss against Fort Wayne. Again, that's a good team. I don't hate it. 1-0 loss to Charlotte. Again, it is what it is. I don't hate it. If I'm looking down here below the playoff line,
got it.
I am looking here. Who is going to be the team that steps up? Portland Hearts of Pine, you trust their top-end talent. They need to figure out their defensive midfield. It's not working. It was working for a second, but it's just something's not clicking, leaving their back line exposed. The Richmond Kickers, don't look now. They're turning it around. They are absolutely turning it around. This attack is clicking right now. Ford Madison had their moment in the sun, but I just don't see the quality there. Chattanooga Red Wolves had their moment last year, but ever since they moved away from the 5-back last year, it hasn't worked in the 4-back.
Right.
And Scott McKenzie has just kind of been flipping back and forth, hoping something clicks. I don't see it. Yeah. I don't see it happening with this team. I love Scott McKenzie. I think he's an amazing coach, but I think running with a low payroll like they do has its limitations, and you're seeing it.
Yep.
Westchester, they're better than they were. I know you see 4 losses in a row, but 3 straight 1-0 losses shows me that their back line is getting better, and their attack is going to be there. Right now, they're having to choose to attack or defend. I think being defensive in this league is not the worst thing in the world. I think they could work their way up to being competitive, but not a playoff spot. Greenville, I don't know. I look at this team, and them and Sarasota are my confusion teams of why aren't they good?
Yeah.
Why aren't they good? And we said at the beginning of the year, you and I talked about it. Me and Alex Ashton talked about it. This is the most competitive League One we have ever seen. And it's a really, really good league. And I think that Greenville and Sarasota are victims of that, of being good teams, but not good enough at any particular thing to get them over the hump. It's not that they have a stellar back line or a stellar attack that gets them over the hump. They're just overall good. But, man, those 2 teams, I can't figure out what is going on to not propel them forward, because you look at the roster, you look at the coaching, everything looks like it's going right, but nothing ever gets the final result. And it's really frustrating to watch them, because I think they're good teams.
You know what's really frustrating for me? Trying to click on the Greenville Triumph website and the banner of single match tickets for June on sale now, and not finding the X out to where I can actually tour the website and see how the stadium construction is going.
I think their first match is June 3rd.
Right.
I believe.
Yeah, where's my click through where I can X out of this banner and so I can actually navigate the website?
You just got to click fast. That's all I got to tell you, because I just got through, but it's by absolute, I am speed. That's kind of the whole thing, Lightning McQueen. But yeah,
it ain't working for me.
I'm trying to figure out a way to get up there for the opening match. I don't know if I'm gonna be able to do it, but I'm trying to get to the opening match of the new stadium. I really want to make it up there, but we'll see.
All right. What else do we need to know?
Just watch the Super League final. It's going to be really good soccer. I know there's going to be a lot of people who have not watched the Super League because they don't have Peacock, but get your 1 week subscription that you don't have to pay for. Just do it, log in, cancel the card, but whatever you have to do, watch the final. It's going to be really good. USL show tonight. We go live once again, 9 p.m. Eastern. So check that out. And just a lot of hopefully get a little bit of I do know that on July 3rd, we are getting definitely Phil and John together at an undisclosed location to announce where Phil is living now, which is just really funny, but they're going to be getting together. We're trying to figure out a way to get together for a July 3rd celebration in an undisclosed location. But no matter what, John and Phil will be there. So check that out in about a month.
Yes, at Kaylor Hodges at the USL show. Congratulations on making it through the school year.
Thank you.
And just catch your breath, because we'll be knocking on your door as we always do. And we can actually do things live instead of on tape for at least a month or two anyway.
Yeah, I mean, hey, if anything happens, break glass. If break glass happens, I have nothing to do. So please just break the glass.
Well, and if there's something to break glass about, that you can always come in the other way. So it's like I break glass and I'm barging in. We'll see you soon, my friend. I always appreciate this look at everything going on in the USL.
Of course. Thank you for having me.